Have you noticed the way certain prominent conservatives have been talking about Russian President Vladimir Putin? There's something a little off about it. Sure, they condemn him and they see him as a foe, the United States' biggest geopolitical foe. In fact, they're talking about a new Cold War. But underneath that condemnation, there's something, I can't quite put my finger on it, something that sounds oddly like admiration.
Putin decides what he wants to do, and he does it in half a day, right? He decided he had to go to their parliament. He went to their parliament. He got permission in 15 minutes. He makes a decision, and he executes it quickly. Then everybody reacts. That's what you call a leader. President Obama, you got to think about it. He's got to go over it again. He's got to talk to more people about it. We're going through the whole, like, Syria thing again, right?
That's what you call a leader. It's strange. It almost sounds as if they would make the Obama-Putin trade if they had a world leaders fantasy team.
Look it. People are looking at Putin as one who wrestles bears and drills for oil. They look at our president as one who wears mom jeans and equivocates and bloviates. We are not exercising that peace through strength that only can be brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
There's a reason we don't play a lot of Sarah Palin's analysis on the show. But to listen to Senator John McCain today, it's almost as if President Obama is too weak to even recognize the strength and the provocation of a president the caliber of Vladimir Putin.
This president does not understand Vladimir Putin. He does not understand his ambitions. He does not understand that Vladimir Putin is an old KGB colonel bent on restoration of the Russian Empire.
Now, the ideological lines here don't break down in any kind of clear way. I mean, there are people on both sides of the spectrum, liberal, conservative, reactionaries, and radicals, who've said everything from Putin is being unfairly vilified and misunderstood to Putin is a monster. Those three examples I just played, though, they suggest an understanding of foreign policy and geopolitics in which strength is a supreme virtue and weakness is the supreme vice. And the winner is the one who exhibits the most strength. That framework is one Vladimir Putin seems to have, and it's a framework that too many prominent people on the right seem to share. Joining me now is Charlie Pierce, writer-at-large for Esquire magazine and political blogger for Esquire.com. Everything I've been hearing for the last 40 hours from the right has revolved around feckless, weak, indecisive, feckless, weak, and indecisive.
Yeah, the conservative right seems to be confused as to whether Vladimir Putin is the new Stalin or a guy they want to ask him to prom. I'm not exactly sure. The shirtless horseback riding photos have won him an audience, though.
I think that there is a case to be made that folks in the American media, and I would include myself in this, and I think liberal and conservative, that part of what is misguiding, I think, the way we're talking about this crisis is how much we have inflated the personage of Vladimir Putin because he is such a compelling character, that everything seems to revolve around the psychodrama of Vladimir Putin himself, and that sets up this kind of easy strength-weakness, Cold War kind of drama.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot more compelling than any of the communists I remember from my youth. I mean, Khrushchev was kind of a roly-poly guy, and, you know, Andropov was an ice sculpture, and Brezhnev looked like he died 20 years earlier. Until they got to Gorbachev, you didn't have one with personality. This guy's got personality to spare.
And that personality, I think, is part of the weird kind of authoritarian charisma that seems to be, I don't know, appealing to certain people that are observing this. I think also tend to posit this as a square-off between the personality of Barack Obama and Vladimir Putin, as opposed to a very complex set of geopolitical calculations that are being made on both sides.
I think you're right, because, you know, we are a bit, you know, because the media in this country, mostly the corporate media, has cut back so much on foreign coverage. We don't really know what's going on over there. So we set up a nice trope for us to understand it through the prism of our president and their president. Of course, I mean, Rudy Giuliani's just impatient with democracy because he was so bad at it when he ran for president.
That Giuliani quote was really amazing. It was like, I can imagine the management book that you get in the airport, like management tips from Vladimir Putin, how to get your war authorization through the Duma in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at least Vladimir Putin would have been smart enough not to try to make Bernie Kerik Homeland Security Secretary. But I guarantee you the leadership secrets of Vladimir Putin is already on somebody's storyboard at a major publishing house.
Someone is pitching that as we speak. I also think I want to shout out Dana Rohrabacher, who I rarely have occasion to do that for. This is what he had to say about Putin yesterday. He said that while he doesn't support Russia taking military action in Ukraine, that doesn't mean Putin and pro-Russia forces in Ukraine are in the wrong. Now, I tend to disagree. I think they are in the wrong quite clearly. But we were going to play Rohrabacher as someone else who is sort of falling sway to this admiration impulse. But I actually think that what he's saying is distinct, right? There are people who are saying there are interests of the Russians to be recognized in evaluating this. And that's very different than affection for the strength and virility of Vladimir Putin.
Yes, as much as he would like to think he is, Vladimir Putin is not Russia. Okay, he is as much as he wants to personify the nation and got to do it for 2 weeks while people were skiing all around him, he really isn't. There are, as you said, there are serious geopolitical issues and long-standing strife in this particular part of the world. My God, we're going to have we're on the verge of having another Crimean War. Yeah, half a league onward.
And one of the things I think that's driven a lot of this, even before this crisis and part of the Sochi coverage, is the fact that for a certain generational cohort, there is this vestigial impulse towards Cold War frames. I mean, you're seeing everyone, it's like the dam has burst. People have just been holding back for 20 years from being able to run through their Red Dawn scripts. And now this comes out and you start seeing it everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's easy. I mean, for people, I think I'm probably at the low end of the age thing as far as that particular generation, but it's probably the only group of that generation I am at the low edge of. But I think that, that it's very easy to understand the world that way. It was very easy to understand the world. We were good, they were bad. We had nukes, they had nukes. We're all standing off, and we didn't do anything when the tanks rolled into Prague in 1968 or into Budapest in 1956 because we all knew better. Now we're not sure.
Right. Yeah. Charlie Pierce from Esquire. Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris.
The 2014 election season begins today, people. Right now, people are voting in the great state of Texas, and woo boy, are there some characters on the ballot down there. I will tell you about some of them next.